here's how we're gonna bring the whole meal together. Start with first marinating our lamb, making our soca batter, then cutting, roasting, and cooking our pepperonata, form and roast the meatballs, roasting our rack of lamb, cooking our soca, making our black olive tapenade, and plating our dish. All right, Ben, thank you for coming on to our show.
Thanks, Big.
Michelle?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm really glad you can make it.
Yeah, so Michelle, I got to tell you a little funny story. So we were doing an event for Larry, right?
Yep.
And it was a chili cooking competition.
Which I lost.
Did you love? I voted for you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, you were actually cooking.
Yeah, I
it.
was one of the 3 chefs. Yeah, or chefs in training, I suppose.
And so Ben said, that he had a special friend that he was going to go to dinner with in the next couple days. I think he said, "Are you going to be in your restaurant? I want to impress her." And I said, "Well, you really want to impress her? Make a dish."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, how do I make it?" I said, "Well, come on to the show, bring your wine, and we'll taste the dish and pair it with your wine." And
Postponed the dates just so I could learn this. And I'll go back with all this new information, and hopefully everything
Well,
will go
good.
well.
I have you to thank for this meal. This is one of my
Yeah, I
favorites, so
suppose.
I'm really pleased that this worked out.
I'll do my
Michelle,
thing over here.
You pour Ben. We're going to plate. We'll see who wins.
Okay.
Okay. So Michelle, if you could just take a little bit of peppers.
Okay.
And you're basically just making and you actually put it in the perfect spot in the center like that. So it's going to do 2 things. It's going to help to keep the meatballs from rolling around on you. And it's obviously going to add a lot of flavor, huh?
Yeah. How'd you get started in wine?
Well, I actually started fermenting in my dorm room in college. So I actually learned.
How did your parents feel about that?
Well, they didn't know, and I learned that at a young age. I went to University of Arizona, so you could buy all the ingredients to make wine and beer at 18,
Yeah.
but you legally weren't allowed to ferment it until you were 21.
Yeah.
So I literally just had all this brewing supply, all the equipment in my dorm room, and then started making wine. And then I moved back to Northern California, which is where I'm from, Sonoma, and started the winery with a good childhood friend of mine, Mike Benziger. And it was kind of a little side project, and we've studied under some really, really great winemakers. And now we're 5 years later and make a lot of vino.
Yeah. See, don't send your kids to college. They might become winemakers.
That's right.
There. You love the peppers, right?
I do.
know.
Is this something you make in your restaurants, Michael, or is this?
It actually is not.
No?
We will now.
Nice.
Once we make it on the show, then we like to make it in the restaurant. But it's not something that we make in the restaurant yet. And go ahead and those peppers just act as a little, base for our lamb, as well as a little extra peppers on the plate. I like a little bit of the brown butter chicken stock, and I just put that right on the soca.
Just set you over the edge.
Yeah.
Just enough.
Well, I'm all set over here, so
Nice.
Thank you, Ben.
you got it.
So this is a Pinot Noir?
Yeah, this is one of our Pinots. This comes from a single vineyard up in the Russian River Valley, so it's got that typical kind of Russian River nose, bright fruit. They're all Dijon clones, so the clones originated in France. So you get this Burgundian scent. So there's more earth, a bright acid backbone that runs through the wine. Typically, I make wines that are better to pair with food. That's why you need that acid. And Pinot's it's got that earth in itself. And so with a gamey meat like lamb, I think it's pretty harmonious.
That smells
So
delicious.
cheers.
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 Thank you for inspiring
Yeah,
this
you're
dish.
welcome. Easy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yum.
Delicious. You ready to taste them together?
I am, actually.
I feel like, guests first.
No. Ladies
See what you
first.
think of
Ladies first is the only way to do it.
Well, let me see. I'm definitely going to try to get some of this meatball because it looks incredible.
So, Ben, what we do on this show a lot of times, trying to explain is really balance of flavors in food.
Sure.
And so, we like to talk about the fact that when we incorporate acidity, sweetness, richness, and spice into our dishes, what that's adding to the dish and,
Right.
and where it's coming from. So here, in our lamb dish, we have the acidity, the vinegar in the tapenade, some spice from the espelette and from the onions and the garlic. We have sweetness from the honey in the pepperonata,
Right?
and we have the richness from the olive oil. and a little bit of the brown butter meatball sauce.
Have at it.
Get in there.
Nice.
It
No,
is
I'm-
so
Where do you
delicious.
recommend I start?
Just
With the
go.
meatball, just get after it?
Recommend you just start and keep going.
This chickpea pancake thing you guys were talking about is pretty.
Have you ever had soca before?
No, I have not.
This is my first time too. And now it's,
Really?
you've created a monster. I'm gonna be making soca for everything.
Yeah, that's delicious.
Yeah.
It's really good.
So, and
I'm
I
gonna
think
hammer down on some of your garlic too.
And your wine goes so well with this
Thank you,
dish.
yeah.
So thank you. You're always invited if you drink wine.
Hey, I live down the street, so work out just fine.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, you're very welcome.